7 Japanese minimalism mindsets that changed my outlook on life. Have you ever wondered why some people seem so calm and content with less, while others constantly chase more? What if we told you that ancient Japanese wisdom holds the key to finding peace in our chaotic modern world? Hey everyone! Picture this. You wake up feeling calm instead of anxious. You stop comparing yourself to others, and suddenly having less actually makes you happier. Sounds too good to be true? Well, that's exactly what happened to us when we discovered these Japanese secrets. Number 1. Wabi-Sabi. Finding beauty in imperfection. Let's start with something that might surprise you. In our world, we're constantly told everything needs to be perfect. Perfect body, perfect career, perfect home, perfect life. But the Japanese concept of Wabi-Sabi teaches us something completely different. It says that true beauty actually comes from imperfection, from things that are incomplete or even a little worn down. Think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how a tree looks more interesting with twisted branches than a perfectly straight one? Or how your favorite sweater becomes even more special after it gets a little soft and faded from years of wear? That's Wabi-Sabi in action. When we started embracing this mindset, something amazing happened. We stopped stressing about making everything in our lives look Instagram perfect. Instead of hiding that small crack in our favorite mug, we started seeing it as part of its story. Instead of feeling bad about our messy handwriting, we began appreciating its unique character. This shift changes everything because it removes the pressure to be flawless. You start accepting yourself as you are right now, not as some future version you think you should become. Your home doesn't need to look like a magazine cover. Your work doesn't need to be without any mistakes. Your relationships don't need to be conflict-free to be beautiful and meaningful. Research shows that people who practice self-acceptance have lower levels of anxiety and depression. When you stop fighting against imperfection and start embracing it, life becomes so much lighter and more enjoyable. Number 2. Ma, the power of empty space. Here's something most of us never think about, but it's absolutely crucial. In Japanese culture, there's this concept called ma, which is all about the power of empty space and silence. It's not just about physical space, though that's part of it. It's about creating breathing room in every area of your life. We live in a world that celebrates being busy all the time. If you're not packed with activities, meetings, and commitments, people think something's wrong. But Ma teaches us that the spaces between things are just as important as the things themselves. Think about music for a second. What makes a song beautiful isn't just the notes, it's also the pauses between them. When we started applying this to our daily lives, the changes were incredible. Instead of filling every minute of our day with something to do, we began leaving gaps, empty time where we could just breathe and think, physical space in our homes that wasn't crammed with stuff, even conversations with more pauses where we could really listen instead of just waiting for our turn to talk. This empty space isn't wasted time or unused potential. It's where creativity happens. It's where peace grows. It's where you actually get to enjoy the good things in your life instead of rushing past them to the next item on your endless to-do list. Studies from neuroscience tell us that our brains need downtime to process information and make connections. When every moment is filled with stimulation, we actually become less productive and more stressed. Ma gives our minds the space they need to work properly. Number 3. Ikigai, your reason for being. Now let's talk about something that goes right to the heart of why you get up every morning. Ikigai is often translated as your reason for being, But it's much more nuanced than just finding your passion or purpose. It's about discovering that sweet spot where what you love meets what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ikigai isn't necessarily about your career or some grand life mission. For many Japanese people, especially in Okinawa, where this concept is deeply rooted, Ikigai might be as simple as tending a small garden or having coffee with a friend every morning. It's about finding meaning in the small, daily activities that make life worth living. When we shifted our thinking this way, it took so much pressure off. We stopped looking for one big purpose that would define our entire existence. Instead, we started noticing all the little things that brought us joy and meaning. Maybe it was helping a neighbor, cooking a good meal, or having a deep conversation with someone we care about. This approach is backed by fascinating research from blue zones, areas where people live the longest and healthiest lives. In Okinawa, which has one of the highest concentrations of centenarians in the world, people often attribute their longevity to having a clear sense of Ikigai. But when you ask them what it is, they usually mention simple, everyday pleasures rather than grand achievements. The beautiful thing about understanding Ikigai this way is that you don't have to wait until you figure out your life's calling to feel fulfilled. You can find reasons for being right now in this moment, in the simple activities that already fill your days. Number 4. Mono no Awara, the bittersweet beauty of impermanence. This next concept might be the most profound one we'll discuss today. Mono no Awara is often described as the bittersweet awareness that all things pass. It's that feeling you get when you watch cherry blossoms fall, knowing their beauty is made more precious because it doesn't last forever. In our culture, we tend to avoid thinking about endings. We want our good times to last forever, and we fight against change with everything we have. But Mono no Awara teaches us that accepting impermanence actually makes life more beautiful, not less. When you truly understand that nothing stays the same, you start paying closer attention to what's happening right now. We remember when this concept really clicked for us. We were watching a sunset, and instead of just taking a quick photo and moving on, we actually sat there and watched the colors change minute by minute. We felt grateful for that specific moment, knowing we'd never see that exact sunset again. That's Mono no Awara in action. This mindset transforms how you experience everything. Time with loved ones becomes more precious when you remember it won't last forever. That perfect cup of coffee tastes better when you're fully present with it. Even difficult times become more bearable when you remember they're temporary too.
Psychological research supports this ancient wisdom. Studies show that people who accept the temporary nature of both positive and negative experiences have better emotional regulation and higher life satisfaction. They're less likely to take good times for granted and less likely to get stuck in difficult periods. Number 5. Kaizen, the magic of small continuous improvement. Let's shift gears and talk about something that can completely change how you approach any goal or challenge in your life. Kaizen is the philosophy of continuous improvement through small incremental changes. Instead of trying to transform everything overnight, you make tiny adjustments that add up to huge results over time. This concept became famous in Japanese manufacturing, but it applies beautifully to personal life too. The idea is that massive changes are overwhelming and usually unsustainable, but tiny changes are so easy that you can't fail. Want to start exercising? Don't commit to an hour at the gym every day. Commit to doing 1 push-up. Want to read more? Don't aim for a book a week. Aim for 1 page a day. When we started using Kaizen in our own lives, it was like discovering a secret superpower. We stopped setting these huge, intimidating goals that we'd abandon after a few weeks. Instead, we focused on changes so small they felt almost silly. But those tiny changes built momentum, and before we knew it, we were making progress on things we'd been stuck on for years. The psychology behind this is fascinating. When you make small changes, you don't trigger your brain's resistance to change. Your mind doesn't see one push-up as a threat to your current routine, so it doesn't fight against it. But over time, that one push-up becomes 2, then 5, then 10, and before you know it, you've built a real exercise habit. Research from behavioral psychology shows that people who use small, incremental approaches to change are much more likely to stick with their new habits long-term. The success rate is dramatically higher than trying to make big changes all at once. Number 6, shogunai, accepting what you cannot control. Here's a mindset that might be the most practically useful thing we share today. Shogunai roughly translates to "it can't be helped" or "nothing can be done about it." But it's not about giving up or being passive. It's about recognizing the difference between what you can control and what you can't, then putting your energy only where it can actually make a difference. We waste so much mental energy worrying about things we can't change. The weather, other people's opinions, traffic jams, the past, uncertain futures. Shogunai teaches you to notice when you're spinning your wheels on these uncontrollable things and gently redirect your attention to where you actually have power. This doesn't mean you become indifferent or stop caring. It means you become incredibly efficient with your emotional energy. When something truly can't be helped, you accept it and move on quickly. When something can be influenced, you put your full focus there. We started practicing this by asking ourselves a simple question whenever we felt frustrated or worried. Is there anything I can actually do about this right now? If the answer was yes, we'd take action. If it was no, we'd remind ourselves shogunai and let it go. This simple practice reduced our daily stress levels dramatically. Modern neuroscience backs this up completely. Studies show that people who focus their attention on controllable factors have lower cortisol levels, better sleep, and improved overall mental health. When you stop fighting battles you can't win, you have so much more energy for the ones you can. Number 7, obaitori. Everyone blooms in their own time. Let's end with something that might be the most healing concept for our comparison-obsessed world. Obaitori comes from the Japanese names for 4 trees that bloom at different times: cherry, plum, peach, and apricot. The idea is that each tree is beautiful in its own season, and comparing them makes no sense. We live in an age of constant comparison. Social media shows us everyone else's highlight reels while we're living our behind-the-scenes reality. We compare our progress, our achievements, our relationships, our everything to people who are on completely different paths with different starting points and different circumstances. None of this means anyone is ahead or behind. You're all just blooming in your own time. When we really internalized this concept, it felt like someone had lifted a huge weight off our shoulders. We stopped feeling anxious about where we should be by a certain age. We stopped feeling inferior when others achieved things we wanted. Instead, we started celebrating other people's successes without feeling like they diminished our own potential. Research in positive psychology shows that people who avoid social comparison have higher self-esteem and life satisfaction. When you stop measuring your inside against everyone else's outside, you can finally appreciate the unique path you're on and the progress you're making, even if it looks different from what others are doing. These 7 Japanese minimalism mindsets aren't just philosophical concepts to think about. They're practical tools that can transform how you experience daily life. From finding beauty in imperfection to accepting your own unique timeline, each one offers a different way to reduce stress and increase contentment. The beautiful thing is you don't have to master all 7 at once. Pick the one that resonates most with you right now and start there. Maybe it's creating more ma in your schedule, or practicing Kaizen with one small habit, or simply reminding yourself shogunai when you catch yourself worrying about things you can't control. What we love most about these concepts is how they work together to create a more peaceful way of living. When you embrace imperfection, accept impermanence, focus on what you can control, and honor your own timeline,
life becomes so much lighter and more enjoyable. Which of these mindsets spoke to you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more content about living with less stress and more intention. Until next time, remember that sometimes the most powerful changes come from the simplest shifts in how we see the world.